Hello, welcome to WellSpan Bariatric Surgery. This is the medically supervised nutrition class for June 2020. My name is Amanda Hoon. I'm one of the registered dietitians.
And I am Susan Kopis, and we are the dietitians from their bariatric surgery location in York.
So the email that or the My WellSpan message that you received included this video, and it also included a link to the June handout. In order to be able to view the handout, you will need to have a desktop or a laptop computer to download the file, and then if you would like to print it, you can do so. You will not be able to view the handout or download it from a smartphone device. So if you would like to follow along with today's presentation, then you can have it in front of you if you print it out from a laptop or a desktop, or we'll actually share it on the screen, so that way if you don't have it to reference in front of you, you'll have at least the digital version of it. Okay. We ask that once you've completely watched the video and responded back to the 5 questions, we ask that you respond to those questions before the end of June. So the deadline would be Tuesday, June 30th at 12 noon. If you can please respond to those 5 quiz questions and then answer the questions about your weight and physical activity. We like to have that back by Tuesday, June 30th at 12 noon, just so that way we have time to document and make sure you receive credit for the month of June. Any entries or any responses received after that, unfortunately, we cannot count. This video can only count for June 2020. We can't count it for July because the material will have been received at a later date. So we ask that you please watch the video and complete the questions, and do so again by Tuesday, June 30th at 12 noon. Once we receive your response, a dietitian will go over and review the responses and create a note, and then we'll let you know that we've received your responses. Doing so via, most of that will all be done through My WellSpan. Okay. So if you have any questions, you can certainly give the office a call. If you're in the York or Gettysburg area, the phone number is 717-851-7575. If you are in the Ephrata or Lebanon area, the phone number is 717-721-8795. Okay. And Susan's going to get us started with this month's topic.
Okay, let's get started. Get your handouts ready. Also get a pen ready so we can take some notes, as our topic of discussion is put your beverage to the test. This is actually a really important topic of, I would just say a new learning topic that's going to be very, very important for your bariatric future and forever plan. If you remember when you took the initial class, one of the first things we talked about was hydration and your fluid needs. And more specifically, we talked about how your beverages, anything you drink, must be calorie-free, caffeine-free, and non-carbonated. But right now, we're just going to focus on the calorie aspect of beverages, because they do contribute to a significant amount of extra calories in our diet, which also means it contributes to weight gain as well. So as we get started, the first fact is 21% of your calories come from beverages. So on a daily basis, you have an additional 20% of calories just from drinking. So if you're not checking those labels and you're not reading, those calories are very sneaky and add up a lot. The problem with calories, liquid calories, sugar in your beverages, is that the body converts that sugar immediately into fat, because the excess sugar cannot be used by the body quick enough, and the body is going to have the tendency to store fat. And when you're storing fat, that can lead to weight gain. So again, these calories are going to be really, really important to be careful about. Calorie beverages that we're talking about is anything that's sweet or sweetened, And that includes your soft drinks, any kind of soda, any kind of fruit juice, whether it's a light, zero, no added sugar, whatever, there's still calories in any kind of fruit juices. This also includes calories from coffees, the sugar that you put in your coffees, the sweet teas, lemonades, those are super popular. So again, start paying attention to your labels and make sure that you're keeping those calories low. Americans are averaging at least 300 calories extra per day over the past 25 to 30 years. So our calorie intake has increased because of calories from sports drinks, juices, milk, energy drinks, like those Monster drinks, things like that. The problem with those types of beverages is they will quench your thirst, but they're not going to fill you up. Sometimes they, depending on how much you drink before a meal, sometimes you are full and you're not going to eat that much. So you're not, it doesn't necessarily contribute to eating less, but it can contribute to eating more because those liquid calories can increase hunger because of the sugar response. So pay attention to how much you're drinking. Maybe put it in a measured cup so then you know exactly what you're serving is, and then just use the information on the label to determine how many calories that you're drinking. So our bariatric goals. So starting now, and more importantly, even after surgery, we're trying to meet a goal of 64 ounces of fluid per day. And what we, like I said, from the initial class, you learned that your calories must be calorie-free, caffeine-free, and non-carbonated, so no bubbles. So I'm going to turn this over to Amanda, and we're going to talk about goals, and this is about hydration and why it's so important.
One of your priorities, aside from making sure that you're getting adequate protein and also continuing to take your vitamin supplements, would be to also make sure that you're staying hydrated, in that by getting in 8 cups or equivalent to 64 ounces of fluids every day, that will help prevent dehydration. And unfortunately, dehydration can disrupt your body's normal metabolic processes, and then you feel terrible. So your primary focus after surgery is to feel much better than maybe what you do now. So trying to stay hydrated is one way to help kind of minimize that lower energy feeling that you might be experiencing. Okay, so to prevent dehydration, you want to make sure that you're getting plenty of fluids every day. Some key symptoms of dehydration. So if you notice that any of these things, these are some things to be mindful of after surgery. Some key symptoms of dehydration would be thirst, dry mouth, fatigue. Like I mentioned, if you're not feeling very good, you feel kind of worn out. Part of that, it could be from the fact that you just had surgery, but it can also be primarily from the fact that you're not getting enough to stay hydrated. And then you feel weak. You may not be urinating frequently, or your urine might be a dark yellow instead of like a pale yellow lemonade. You may have some dry skin. A lot of patients mention they experience headaches. We call them dehydration headaches, just because they're not getting an adequate amount of fluids. And along with that can come some dizziness. And if you're not getting enough fluids, again, another somewhat frequent issue patients experience after surgery is sometimes constipation, because they're not able to get in, or they're not drinking an adequate amount of fluids. And we remember back in the initial class, we had talked about the 30-30-30 rule. So getting in this 64 ounces is not necessarily going to be the easiest thing to do, because you need to be mindful of the fact that you can literally only tolerate so much fluid at one time, and that there is a little bit of a timing delay, just to allow your stomach to accommodate food or beverages, and not the two at the same time. So with the 30-30-30 rule, that is to stop drinking a half hour before you eat, take 30 minutes to actually eat the meal and don't drink while you're eating, and then wait 30 minutes after you finished eating before you would start drinking again. Okay. All right. So now that you've already eliminated practically 4.5 hours out of your day that you can drink to allow you to eat, it becomes very important to be on top of constantly drinking throughout the day to make sure you get, that you're aiming for 40 or for 64 ounces, but 48 would be a good start. And then as you're gradually able to tolerate more, you're aiming for the 64 ounces. And the symptoms of dehydration, we talked about that. Some more significant, more severe symptoms would be if you're not urinating, your blood pressure is really low, your skin is really dry and starting to crack, your eyes are sunken in, you have a fever, there's probably low blood pressure. And with that, you might start to feel, the lightheaded and dizziness may be more prominent, which then can lead to confusion, again, because you're just not staying hydrated enough. The rapid heartbeat, rapid breathing. Okay, so definitely none of these things are symptoms that anybody really wants to feel. Okay. So again, be mindful of the 30-30-30 rule. Carry a water bottle with you if you need to. You might need to try a couple different beverages. Some people find that sweetened or artificially sweetened beverages don't taste right. So then they may have to switch to exclusively water, or try to maybe, instead of adding an entire packet of Crystal Light to your 16-ounce bottle of water, maybe you only add a quarter of it. So kind of keep that in mind, that you might have there may be a couple days where you have to kind of finesse and fine tune what your beverages are going to be, just to allow you the best tolerance. And now Susan's going to go over page 2. This is going to be about low-calorie beverages, non-carbonated and decaffeinated beverages.
Okay, so let's talk about low calorie. The important thing again, is looking at your food label and making sure that your serving, it has less than 10 calories. We would prefer 0 calories, but 10 calories per serving is going to be the maximum amount. And it is very important to pay attention that, especially if you do like to drink juices, they still have sugars, they still have calories. And more importantly, the first statement here is we don't want to drink away our calories. Following surgery, your calories are going to be limited because this is all about weight loss. But more importantly, calories from beverages are all usually in the form of sugar. And the body doesn't use a lot of sugar up at once, but those liquid calories turn out to be a lot of sugar all at once, and the body just cannot handle and make the energy, and therefore it's going to store the energy, and that's the weight gain that we're talking about. You can look for beverages with artificial sweeteners because those are calorie free, and they will help save some of the calories from your hydration. Now, just as Amanda was explaining, hydration is an important factor about your overall feeling of wellness or energy. And dehydration also affects energy. So, which also you may think, I need to eat something, but you may not really need to eat something. You may need to drink something. So again, we want low calorie. Fruit juices have a very concentrated source of simple sugars, and they easily contribute to the excess calories that we're talking about. The problem with drinking juice is you don't get the full nutritional value of the fruit, nor do you get the benefit of the fiber. In addition, it takes 3 times the amount of fruits to make 1 serving of juice. And so again, that becomes a very concentrated source of sugar. So if you really want something sweet, then eat your fruit. Don't drink the juice. That should be your always and forever rule, and it will be your forever rule following the bariatric surgery. Now, if you're a diabetic and you notice that your sugars are too low, and those usually bring symptoms of shakiness and fatigue, maybe even confusion, we want to get those sugars up quickly, then a little bit of juice is honestly a good way to get those sugars up quickly. But that should only be for diabetics in need of a little bit of support to get the sugars up. Okay, so let's talk about carbonation. Non-carbonated beverages. So that includes anything with bubbles. So sodas, seltzer waters, carbonated waters, those one waters, energy drinks, also some energy drinks like Monster and Red Bull, they are carbonated. Primarily, carbonated beverages do not contain a lot of nutritional value, so they don't really contribute to what you really do need from food. Food is your energy source, not your sugar and not caffeine. So don't waste your calories on the carbonation. Following surgery, carbonated beverages, if they're not sugar-free or they're not 0 calories, after surgery, it's just contributing to excess calories, which then will prevent you from losing the weight that you want to lose, or more importantly, being able to maintain the weight loss after surgery. Carbonation, especially following surgery, can make heartburn worse. So if you have a sensitivity to heartburn, carbonation and bubbles can actually make that symptom worse. And following surgery, a lot of our patients complain of worsening when they get heartburn, it actually is worse. So this would be something to avoid. If you have issues with heartburn now, before surgery, then I would absolutely consider getting off of the carbonated beverages. Again, following surgery, we don't recommend the carbonation because carbonation is gas bubbles. It's carbon dioxide. Those bubbles sit in the pouch, and that can add a lot of pressure, leading to pain following surgery. So the surgery is supposed to make you feel better. You're supposed to get to a place of better health and feeling better. So carbonation actually works against what you're trying to achieve. So that's why we recommend non-carbonated, and that will be a forever bariatric rule guideline. Okay, decaffeinated. So this is important because caffeine is actually dehydrating. So you lose the benefits of adequate fluid. And because your fluid restriction it's going to be harder to get your fluids following surgery because of the size of the pouch, and as Amanda reviewed with you, the 30-30-30 rule. So it's all about timing. So we don't want to consume things that are actually going to work against your hydration goals. Following surgery, you must be caffeine-free for at least 3 months because caffeine is an irritant and it can actually contribute to ulcers or lesions in the pouch, which is painful. So, but as you get further advanced out of surgery, about 3 months and thereafter, you can consume up to 2 cups of black coffee a day, which is up to 400 milligrams of caffeine. So you have to read the labels. Excess caffeine intake can cause insomnia. So it totally affects sleep patterns. It can cause headaches and restlessness and upset stomachs, rapid heartbeats, all those types of things. So too much coffee. So if you're only drinking coffee in the morning because you need the energy, the thing is that you need energy from food. Food is more sustaining and you don't have the side effects that caffeine can offer. So it is something important that you need to start following and practicing before your surgery. As you can see below, the recommended beverages include, about a dozen options. So water, you can use Crystal Light. As Amanda explained, maybe sometimes you don't like the sweetness that they are, so don't use the full packet of the Crystal Light. Just use maybe even a quarter of it per 16 ounce. Do diet or unsweetened teas. So unsweetened teas should be 0 calorie. Diet tea should be low calorie. So not all diet teas are calorie free. So again, looking at that label. Fruit infused waters, you can have a bottle that has this little net kind of feature in the middle of it. You can put fruits and vegetables and herbs, fresh herbs, and it flavors the water. So if you don't like water, but you need a little flavor without it being sweet, you can use infusers, which are wonderful. Another thing with water is maybe you don't think water tastes good. And I've heard that comment before. So make sure your water is super duper cold. So have it with ice, or you know, chill them in your refrigerator, or maybe even your freezer. Drink cold water. So for people who are a little bit more selective about water, chilling it seems to be better tolerated. Your sports drinks are only good if you're outdoors excessively working out for greater than 60 minutes of time and you're excessively sweating. That's the only time sports drinks are really relevant to part of your everyday needs. So go over your list. In your binder, there's a specific detailed list in each of the diet stages. There's also a detailed list of your hydration needs. And again, your bariatric forever goal is low calorie or calorie free, non-carbonated, and decaffeinated. That's your forever goal. That's our mantra. That's what we need to start practicing now. Okay, so with that being said, Amanda's going to talk about our sports drinks and specialty drinks.
So as Susan kind of mentioned or alluded to, the sports drinks. Sports drinks are designed specifically for athletes. So they contain a little bit of sugar content, and they also have some other nutrients, primarily electrolytes, in the form of sodium and potassium. And those were designed for athletes because as they're sweating excessively, they need the carbohydrate to fuel their body, and then they need the sodium and potassium to replace the electrolytes that they've lost from the sweat. So unless you're doing a high intensity exercise session that's longer than 60 minutes and you're sweating excessively, there's no need for you to have a sports drink, especially one that is full calorie and has all the sodium and potassium. Now, if for some reason you feel you need to replace the sodium and the potassium as the electrolytes, there are some other versions that don't have calories of sports drinks. So one would be Powerade Zero, has the electrolytes but no calories. Gatorade Zero would be another one. Okay, Vitamin Water Zero would be another one that would have no calories but have the electrolytes. Okay. Or if you feel like you need to have a little bit of the sugar content, G2 would be an option. Okay. But again, these aren't things that you want to be drinking. Even excess sodium and potassium can cause some disturbances within your body. So these aren't things that you should be drinking to completely and exclusively replace water. Okay. Propel would be another option. Propel is a calorie-free electrolyte replacement beverage. So again, along that same lines. So if you're not doing any excess or intensive activity greater than 30 minutes where you're sweating profusely, then you wouldn't necessarily need to get into a sports drink. Keep in mind that if you are training for an elite event, you may have a need for the sports drinks, but be very careful with those, because depending on the type of surgery you have, you could be sensitive to the sugar that's in it. So you may end up actually experiencing some dumping syndrome from sports drinks, okay, since they contain the simple sugars. Okay, so you may not be able to tolerate those very well. As far as specialty coffees, or as I like to call them, foo-foo coffee drinks, they taste great, but as we've learned about anything else, anything that tastes good probably has some reason why, it may not necessarily be the best option for us all the time. So coffee in and of itself doesn't have a whole lot of calorie content. It's very minimal calorie content. The problem is all of the stuff that we add to it to make it taste better. So the the creamers, the syrups, the caramel sauce, the pumpkin spice syrup, and so forth, and the whipped toppings. Okay, all of that's where you're going to contribute calories. Now, all those add-ons can mean that you end up now having a 300 or 400 or even 500 or even greater calorie beverage, and yeah, you might have wanted that caffeine, and that caffeine might have been okay for you and kind of give you a boost, but you got a lot of calories in addition to that. There are sugar-free creamers. Now, sugar-free creamers would be appropriate to have. Keep in mind, you have to measure it. Sugar-free creamers are not calorie-free. They still contain calories. Most of them are 15, 25, 35 calories per tablespoon. So unless you're actually measuring it, you're still getting a beverage that has, albeit less than what the original would have been, but it's still going to have some calorie content. There are sugar-free syrups that you can purchase. Starbucks, I believe you can purchase them from there. Online, there's online through Amazon or Target or Walmart. There's two brands in particular that I can think of off the top of my head. That one brand name is called Torani, Torini. And that one is a syrup flavor, sugar-free syrup flavoring that you can add to the coffee. The other one is Da Vinci. Okay, again, those are both syrups that are sugar-free. So those would be ways that you can add flavoring without adding calories. The caramel sauce, I don't know that I've seen sugar-free caramel sauces, so that might be one that's tricky to find unless you can find it in a syrup as opposed to a sauce. And then, of course, the whipped toppings, some of those may have, depending on the type of cream they're made with, you may not necessarily be able to get a lower calorie version of those. Okay, so if you want to get coffee, skim milk would be an option. That's going to add less than 100 calories for an 8-ounce cup, or the sugar-free syrups like I mentioned. Okay. But just be careful that you're not adding so much caffeine that you're defeating the purpose of what you're trying to do, and that's to stay hydrated. The caffeine can act as a diuretic even months after surgery. So if you're not able to drink enough water or the calorie-free beverages that we've talked about thus far, if you're not able to drink enough of those, the caffeine can still be problematic even months or years after surgery. And the next topic would be alcohol. So we get this question somewhat frequently. Ideally, the best thing to do would be to avoid alcohol altogether after surgery, not only because of the calorie content, but the fact that your digestive system has been altered means that you now don't necessarily absorb alcohol the same way as you did before. So you can get extremely intoxicated very quickly off of a small amount of alcohol. Okay. The alcohol can increase the risk of ulcers, or if you have them, can intensify them. And again, we've kind of mentioned this several times now. You're not pursuing this type of surgery to feel uncomfortable or have pain. Okay. So the best thing to do would be to avoid alcohol. Ideally, we recommend at least for the first 6 months, but obviously we would prefer to extend that period and just to avoid it altogether. The alcohol in a 1.5 ounce serving of gin, vodka, rum, most of those liquors contain at least 100 calories or about 100 calories in just that 1.5 ounce. Now, if you're adding 2 or 3 ounces to a beverage, and then say you're trying to make a mixed drink, like a vodka, maybe you would do, you would add juice or something to it. Now the juice is going to add even more calories. So mixed drinks are going to just, the calorie content is just going to multiply very quickly once you get into not just the liquors, but then adding multiple liquors to a beverage mixed drinks and adding juices and syrups and stuff like that. So you could end up with mixed drinks that are 500 calories or even more than that. Okay, again, defeating the purpose of what you're trying to accomplish here. Alcohol itself contains about 7 calories per gram. So even if you were to find a skinny recipe, a low carb recipe, or even like a diet version, they're not necessarily going to be calorie free. So they might, instead of having 500, they might have 350. But still, you know, if you are consuming more than one beverage, you're now getting into a lot of excess calories. And this can affect your either your weight loss immediately after surgery, but it can even contribute to potential weight regain even afterwards. Okay. And by one drink, if you do choose to drink alcohol, we recommend to stick to 1 or 2 drinks per day for men and 1 drink a day for women. Okay, and that would be equivalent to 4 ounces of wine, 12 ounces of beer, or 1/5 of an ounce of liquor. Okay, so be very careful of the portion too. With wine, you know, the alcohol content, the higher the alcohol content, the higher the calories. Same thing with beer. If you have a light beer, it might only be 100 calories. You get some of these beers that are, 8-9% ABV, and you have a much higher calorie content. Okay, keeping in mind too, wine is sugar, beer is carbonated. So even though we've talked about this already, so beer might not only be something that contributes calories and it makes you intoxicated quickly, but that carbonation can be problematic as well. Okay. So all in all, best to avoid alcohol. That way you eliminate those calories and you eliminate any discomfort that you might have or potentially causing ulcers or pain. Okay. So I'm actually going to stop sharing this and we're going to come back to video because Susan and I would like to show you, behind us we have a poster board that Susan has put together for us. And this is just going to demonstrate the sugar content and the calorie content of some frequent beverages. So we have soda, milk, the fufu coffee drinks as I mentioned earlier, and we'll go through some of these things that way you can kind of see and we can compare some beverages in terms of calorie content.
So what I want to show you real quick is, you're saying, oh my gosh, well, what is that? This is 6 cups of sugar. And this 6 cups of sugar represents the average amount of sugar content from foods and beverages that Americans consume on an average weekly basis. So this 6 cups of sugar equals 4,638 calories, which means this could contribute to more than a pound and a half of excess weight. So weight gain per week. So that's why these hidden sugars, these hidden calories, and reducing those calories are going to be huge and important, because that will also contribute with weight loss, which is what we're trying to achieve. Behind me is the board that Amanda was talking about, and I know you can't see the sugar. So this is juice, a 12 ounce bottle of juice. That has the equivalent of 10 teaspoons of sugar, 10 teaspoons of sugar, versus milk. It's naturally occurring, it's not added sugar, only has 3 teaspoons. So 10 teaspoons, 3 teaspoons, huge difference. This is naked juice. Everyone thinks that naked juices are supposed to be the better juice because they're all natural and they're fresh. A 12 ounce bottle of naked juice has the equivalent of 15 teaspoons of sugar. So significant amount of added sugar. Our fufu coffee drink, this has the equivalent. So this is a 12 ounce mocha from Starbucks, has the equivalent of 8 teaspoons of sugar. Go to your sugar bowl 8 times. That's a lot of extra sugar. I'm looking at some lemonade. If you're to drink a lemonade, if it's not sugar free, there is a lot of extra calories. So Read your labels. It's super important. One can, a 10-ounce can of soda has the equivalent of close to 10, it's a 12-ounce can, 10 teaspoons of sugar. So these calories from liquid beverages can add up really, really quickly. So to summarize everything that we've talked about today, make sure that the beverages you're drinking are calorie-free, caffeine-free, non-carbonated. That's our goal. That's your bariatric forever goal. Remember that this video, you want to review this video and return the questions, the answers by Tuesday, June 30th by noon, no later than that. Otherwise, we can't document on time that you've completed it on time. In addition to that, our daily forever goal that you want to aim for hydration is 64 ounces per day. As Amanda had noted, 48 is a good target following surgery, but ideally, everybody now should be going for that 64 ounces. And it's still important that you continue to eat healthy, take care of yourself. It's important to continue to exercise and be healthy. Even in this time of COVID and restrictions and social isolating, you can still participate in physical activity. So some things to do online at home, online free. Pop Sugar Fitness, free videos. Walkathome.com is a free walking home series, videos at home. You can do, if you have the MyFitnessPal app, there's in their just daily sessions, they have exercise videos that you can follow along and do for free. So anything else, any other videos that we?
Well, and even if, back to the activity, so even if there's, even if you have joint pain and walking or doing some of those higher intensity activities is a little bit complicated or painful, then obviously I think with Pop Sugar, and even if you just do a YouTube search for chair exercises, you can find, you know, exercises that you can do from a chair. That way you don't have to worry about being unstable or unsteady on your feet or joint pain or numbness or anything like that. So you can find videos as an alternative to, you know, like walking or something like that, that you can do. And it's chair, you would search for chair exercises, or there's some videos called chair dancing. Okay, the brand name itself is chair dancing, and that's that you can order either online. That one you might have to pay for, but you can find some free versions of it on YouTube.
Okay, so get your adequate hydration in, preventing dehydration, eat well, stay active, be well, be safe. Take care.
Bye.